All Vibranium Weapons, MCU versus Comics. Today, we'll examine the Vibranium weapons we've seen in the MCU one by one, then move on to the comics. And that's where things get truly wild. Why? Because there are weapons in the comics that the MCU has never shown. Let's get started. Captain America's shield. As told in the MCU, World War II, Howard Stark shows up one night and says, "I've brought you something one of a kind in the world." And what appears is a round, red, white, and blue shield. Arguably the MCU's most iconic vibranium weapon. Why is it so powerful? Because vibranium absorbs energy. A bullet hits it, vibrates, stops. Hulk throws a punch, same result. As Howard Stark put it, stronger than steel, a third of the weight. Completely vibration absorbent. In Civil War, when Tony Stark tells Steve, "That doesn't belong to you," that scene was literally painful because the shield wasn't just a weapon, it was Steve Rogers' identity. Steve was forced to leave it behind. Then comes Endgame. Thanos strikes the shield with his double-bladed sword and it cracks. The entire Marvel fandom froze. But note, the shield didn't shatter completely. It was damaged, but it held. It was still absorbing energy. Vibranium isn't unlimited, but you need to be Thanos to reach its limits. In the comics, the MCU shield is made of pure vibranium, but in the comics, things are far more complicated. The original shield was created the night Dr. Myron McClane fell asleep in his lab while trying to fuse vibranium with steel. When he woke up, the metals had bonded on their own, and this fusion was never replicated again. This is called proto-adamantium. While trying to copy this accidental alloy, regular adamantium was invented. So the metal in Wolverine's skeleton is indirectly descended from Cap's shield. What makes this version different? The MCU shield is powerful, but can be damaged. The comic's proto-adamantium shield, however, is even more durable than pure adamantium, resistant to extreme temperatures, pressure, and nearly every type of attack. Which version do you think is better? Comics or MCU? Write it in the comments. 2. Black Panther's claws and suit. In the MCU, T'Challa's suit is perhaps the MCU's smartest use of vibranium. When we first see it in Civil War, the suit absorbs energy but doesn't store it, just passive protection. But then we jump to Black Panther, and Shuri steps in. Shuri redesigns the suit. It now stores kinetic energy and releases it back. So when Rhino charges at you, you hit Rhino back with equal force. Essentially a return damage to sender system, the world's most passive-aggressive defense mechanism. The suit glows purple, showing how charged it is. If the limit is exceeded, explosion. Shuri accounted for that too, of course. The claws are also vibranium. In Endgame, watching those claws hold up against Thanos' blades was a total goosebump moment. In the comics, here's the real bombshell. In the comics, Black Panther's claws aren't made of ordinary vibranium. They're made of anti-metal, the Antarctic variant of vibranium. What does anti-metal do? It dissolves the molecular bonds of other metals. It melts whatever metal it touches, including adamantium, meaning it could theoretically damage even the metal in Wolverine's bones. Why didn't the MCU show this? Probably because claws that melt everything would have been way too overpowered. But in the comics, T'Challa surprised many opponents with this advantage, because nobody knew the claws didn't just cut, they also melted. My question to you, if anti-metal claws came to the MCU, could T'Challa have defeated Thanos? Write it in the comments. Okoye's Vibranium Spear. In the MCU, the most underrated vibranium weapon in Black Panther is definitely Okoye's spear, the Busan car chase scene. Okoye hurls the spear in front of an oncoming SUV. The car hits it, and the vibranium absorbs the kinetic energy, sending the car flying. That scene took vibranium from abstract theory to something concrete, literally like a physics textbook, but way cooler. The spear is also collapsible. It folds down to handle size for concealment and extends for combat. Okoye used it against Killmonger, against Thanos in Infinity War, and against Corvus Glaive in Endgame. Corvus Glaive met his end at the tip of that spear. In the comics, Wakanda has 2 legendary vibranium weapons, and each tells a completely different story. The first is the Nation Maker, an ancient vibranium spear belonging to the founder of Wakanda's capital, used by kings and queens since Wakanda's founding, said to have felled more than 1,000 enemies. Its edge never dulls. The second is the Skybreaker, not a spear, but a sword, forged from the great vibranium deposit by Wakanda's first king shaman, Bashenga. It conducts energy, particularly natural forces like lightning, a sacred weapon that only the king of Wakanda may touch. Stored in a temple, guarded by priests and advanced technological traps. And then there's that scene. Storm from the X-Men stole this sword. She took it from Wakanda without permission and had to fight Shuri for it. Why? The Krakoan apocalypse was approaching, and Storm couldn't go without the Skybreaker. T'Challa was away. Ramonda said wait. Storm didn't wait. She took the sword and went, and fought Death, one of the 4 horsemen. She won. When T'Challa returned, he shut off Krakoa's access to Wakanda. That theft permanently shook the relationship between the two nations. 2 superpowered civilizations nearly went to war over a vibranium weapon. Peak drama energy. 4. Iron Man envisions vibranium connection. In the MCU, Tony Stark had to use vibranium, not by choice. In the first Avenger, Howard Stark uses all the vibranium for the shield. This is all we've got in the world. We used every last ounce, he says. Meaning if Tony's father hadn't used that metal, Tony might have been able to build his suits from vibranium. One father's decision, decades later, limited his son's options. That's a little painful. In Age of Ultron, Tony and Bruce Banner used vibranium to build Vision's body. Ultron stole it from Wakanda, Tony used it. Ethical? Debatable, but it worked. Vision came to life and became the only being capable of bearing an Infinity Stone. In Endgame's final snap scene, Tony's gauntlet was powered by Wakandan nanotechnology. An indirect vibranium connection, but a small detail that carries enormous meaning. In the comics, Tony Stark has actually tried a full vibranium suit. The results were mixed. Because vibranium absorbs energy, and Tony's suit runs on energy. Theoretically, the suit could consume its own power source. That's why Tony preferred alloys over pure vibranium. Engineer logic. Everything has a trade-off. Guys, since the video wasn't long enough, the remaining vibranium armors will be in part 2 if you want them. Just let me know in the comments. Also, here's my question for you. Which of these weapons would you like to see in the MCU? Write your answer in the comments. For my video where I break down all the young Avengers in the MCU and reveal Marvel's hidden plan, click the link below. I've also added the links to the HeroLens TikTok and Facebook pages in the description. Don't forget to follow me there as well. The next video will be a comparison between adamantium and vibranium. That one is going to surprise you, I promise.